Hi everyone, it's Stacy. Thank you for coming on this yoga leap with me. Welcome back to anyone who's been practicing with me for the last couple of years now, and welcome to anyone new who's finding these videos for the first time. Yeah, it has been a couple of years. Here we are, though. We're not going to focus on the 2-year anniversary of the pandemic. We're going to focus on the fact that by the time this video goes up, it will be the 3rd day of spring. I'm filming on the 1st day of spring. So we're going to do some movements today just to bring joy to the body and the mind. So anything that feels good. Kind of going to focus on postures that have names like tree, butterfly, the sun, moon, that kind of stuff. And just try to bring a bit of spring into our step and our practice today. I will be moving between the chair and the mat. If you are waiting for me to cue in the chair or the mat and you find you're just kind of there, just take a few breaths in the posture you're in. Find a couple moments of stillness. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great part of the practice as well. If something doesn't feel good in the body, skip it, modify it. And if you have any props you like to practice with, by all means, grab those. I don't use anything other than really the chair, although sometimes I do offer a block as a prop option. But if you don't have any, don't worry about it. You don't need any of the props. So yeah, all you need is yourself, and I'm going to join you back on the mat there, and we'll get started. We're going to start seated today. So you can either start seated in your chair or on the floor like me, just finding a comfortable position. I'm just going to move the chair out of the way. I will be moving the chair around a little bit. Of course, you don't have to move your chair, even if I am for demonstration purposes. You can just sort of swing around in your chair or walk around depending on what we're demonstrating, and use your chair accordingly. This is a nice light chair, so I can move it around to demonstrate different postures. So with all that said, let's settle into our chair or the mat, and we can bring our hands to rest on our lap with palms turned down or turned up, or maybe we're resting them just gently laying one palm over the other in our lap, or if it's comfortable for you, bringing the hands to the heart center, or even in prayer, just finding a position that feels comfortable but still where you feel awake and aware of your surroundings, and so that we can focus in on our breath and body for a few minutes here just to ground ourselves. So with all that being said, find those sit bones, find a nice tall spine, maybe roll through the shoulders a couple of times, choosing palms up or down. And if it feels comfortable, you can close eyes. If not, just turning the gaze down towards the floor and finding something nice and steady to softly rest your gaze on. And I'm just going to put my hair up. In the meantime, we can start to focus on our breath. So without changing the breath, what do we notice? How fast or slow is it? What are the qualities of the breath that we notice as we sit here and try to find that natural flow of breath? I know that the minute someone says, turn your focus to your breath, of course it's going to change a little bit, but try not to change it too much and just notice the depth, the speed, the quality. Maybe even notice where the breath is drawing from. Are we notice the belly filling, or is it a little higher up in the chest and shoulders? There's no right or wrong, good or bad. We're just trying to take a few minutes to notice the breath. It's so often just in the background, working away for us, but it's obviously so vitally important, and we want to just try to notice it. Just check in with the breath, maybe checking in with other sensations as well, depending on where you're practicing and what time of day it is. What sounds can you hear, both sort of near and far? What are some of the smells you might notice? If it's morning time, are you smelling coffee? If it's evening, maybe there's a candle lit or smells of dinner. So just noticing our surroundings as well. Maybe even noticing that sense of touch, our hands on our lap, our sit bones on our chair or mat. for a few rounds now, let's start to deepen the breath. We're going to breathe in some of that cool, crisp spring air. So take a big inhale, trying to fill sort of a 360-degree belly. So inhale through belly, ribs, and chest, expanding in all directions. And then exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Just let everything sink back down, pulling in towards center. Inhale to fill belly, ribs, and chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Staying here for a few more rounds like this, inhaling to fill belly, ribs, and chest, and exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. Trying to make it nice and smooth, even though we're maybe forcing or taking bigger breaths than might feel natural. See how smooth we can get those breaths. Let's take a couple more rounds here, and then we'll start to bring a bit of movement to the breath as well. If the eyes are closed, maybe think about fluttering them open. And now just adding in that sense of sight, taking in the room around you, or maybe you're outside, you're practicing, enjoying this lovely weather, taking in the trees, continuing to listen for sounds, breathe in smells, just kind of take it all in here. Take a few breaths. On the next inhale, we can release the hands from wherever they are and sweep the arms up and over. Inhale here, reach up. Let's stay up here, stretching long just for a little bit. We can kind of stretch and reach up towards the sky or the ceiling, moving, if we like, a little bit side to side, finding mini side bends, still rooting down through the sit bones. Good. Take a big inhale to reach up, shoulders reach up as well. And then exhale, let everything come down to the side. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Stay up here, try and find some length here, reaching through the side body. So root down through the sit bones, reach up through the fingertips. And when you're ready, exhale, release down. All right, let's inhale, sweep the arms up. Reach up nice and tall. This time let the left arm fall down. Just find the mat beside you or the side of your chair. And on your next exhale, think about reaching up and over to find a side bend. So stay nice and heavy through this sit bone here, this side body. Think about reaching up and over. And we still want to find a sort of length through this side as well. We don't want to just dump down into this side. So we're really lifting up and over. So a little bit more length down this stretching side, but still feeling openness through the non-stretching side here. Good. Let's take an inhale, come up through center. Inhale. Reach, 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 reach. Let's let the right arm fall down. Find that chair or mat. And when we're ready, on the next exhale, reach up and over. So again, finding openness here, openness through the side body. Finding a big stretch, root down through the sit bone on the opposite side. Think about keeping the chest and heart space facing forward. So if you find you start to sort of dip towards center, just open up, reach up and over. Nice big side stretch. All right, let's inhale and exhale, flow with breath for a few rounds, creating a bit of movement in the spine. Inhale to reach up, exhale. Let's do one more on each side. All right, last one here. Let's inhale to reach up. On the exhale this time, let's drop the hands down. See if we can bring them behind us. Maybe we're even going to clasp our knuckles and reach the knuckles down towards the mat or the chair. If you find that you're hitting the back of your chair, just scooch forward, try and make a bit of room. And we may or may not be able to clasp our knuckles. Maybe we're just kind of squeezing the arms behind us as if we're holding a big beach ball. Start to tap into some of that warm weather imagery. Good. So opening up through the chest. You can stay here nice and lifted, or there's an option to fold forward. Knuckles might be reaching up towards the sky. They might be reaching behind. If it's too much, but you're enjoying the forward fold, by all means, release the hands. Either bringing them for support or just finding that big beach volleyball here. When we're ready, we can come on back up. Good, let's inhale, sweep the arms up. Let's add a twist. So this time we're going to twist over towards the left. The right arm is going to sweep across in front. Maybe it finds the outside of the left knee. And this arm behind us just comes behind us for support to help us find length through the spine as we inhale. And then just guiding us a little deeper into the stretch on the exhale. Stay here for a round of breath, still nice and centered and rooted down through the sit bones. On your next inhale, we'll come out of the twist, sweep the arms up, and then twist over to the other side. So root down through those sit bones. Left arm sweeps across, right arm comes behind for support, and we press into the mat or chair to find length and depth. Stay for a couple rounds of breath. On the next inhale, let's come out of the twist, sweep the arms up. Awesome. Option here on the exhale to sweep those hands behind again, or just bring them down in front and fold forward. Round through the spine if possible. Inhale, come on up. Let's take those arms up overhead one last time. Reach, 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 find the little micro bends. These are a little more than micro, I guess, aren't they? Reach, 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 find length, and then we'll just exhale the hands through heart center and bring the hands down to our knees. We'll do a few hip circles, or if you are ready to move to your cat-cow, you can roll over onto all fours. If you're staying here with me in the chair or on the mat, let's bring our hands to our knees and we'll start to just circle through the hips a little bit. Finding an inhale as we pull the heart space forward and an exhale to round the spine. So it's a bit like a seated cat-cow option. You can use your knees to sort of help pull and open up the heart space and then push as the spine rounds. And then we can change directions here whenever you feel ready, feeling the need to uncross the legs and switch the cross of the legs at any time is just fine. Inhaling to pull the heart space through, exhale, round through the spine. Seated cat-cow option here. Okay. Good, let's come up through center. We'll sit up nice and tall. Good. Let's release the hands, roll the shoulders, shake it all out. Awesome. Now, if you're already on hands and knees, great. If not, I'm going to join you on hands and knees. We'll do a bit of spinal balance to engage the core, and I'll show the chair option in a moment. From our tabletop position, let's get the hands nice and wide, press into the mat. So really think about pressing that mat away, splaying the shoulder blades, and stacking all the joints. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, pull the belly in. If you haven't done cat-cow here, you feel the need for a couple of rounds of cat-cow, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to move into spinal balance, where we're going to kick the left leg out or lift the left foot off the ground in the chair, but drop that left hip. So make sure we're not opening up through the hip too much here, not for this one. And let's see how we feel if we can lift that leg off the ground. So it's maintaining a nice long spine, still pressing the mat away. And if we're good here, we might be able to reach the opposite arm forward here. So we're going to inhale for length and then exhale. Let's see if we can round through that spine, draw elbow to knee underneath. See if we can lift the leg up as well. Lift that heel towards bum. It's really hard. And then inhale for length. Exhale, round through that spine. So keep going. I'm just going to show the chair option here. So if we're in our chair, we're going to lift the left leg, lift the right arm, and then we can also here crunch through the core, round through the spine, draw elbow to knee as they cross the body in front. and then inhale for length, and then we'll switch sides. I'm going to join you back on the floor. Not sure where we're at. Let's inhale for length, exhale one more time on this side. Maybe we've done 4 or 5 here. Let's find one more big inhale, and then lower everything down. Great. Reset, take a couple cat-cows or any movements we need here. And then we'll go to the other side. So we'll kick our right leg out behind us. Drop that right hip. So for now, we're not opening up. We're staying nice and long through the spine. Let's see how it feels to lift that right leg off the ground and maybe left arm. Let's inhale, find length. Here we go. Exhale, round through that spine. Draw the knee to elbow. And then inhale. Good. Round through the spine. Make room for that connection. Good. Okay, let's do one more. Inhale for length. Exhale, knee to elbow. Pull that leg in. And one more big inhale here, and then we'll settle it all back down. Woo, good. Do a couple cat-cows, or maybe sit the hips back and find a child's pose. Child's pose, we can open the knees up nice and wide and melt the heart space down towards the mat. Feeling a nice stretch under the arms as well. If you're in the chair, you're just going to step the feet wide and find a nice deep forward fold in the chair. All right, from here, let's walk our hands over to the right. Keep the hips centered. If you're in the chair, just walking towards the right leg. And if you're on the floor, maybe stacking left hand over right and melting down for another big side stretch here. See if you can stay heavy through the left hip. And then we'll walk through center and over to the other side and over to the other leg. Let's stack right hand on top, lower down, staying heavy through right hip this time. All right, let's lift the forehead, come back through center. Let's come forward here into our tabletop, and we're gonna make our way up to standing. Now, if you want to just use any props, chair or blocks or anything, step a foot through and make your way up to standing, we can do that. Or if you'd like to flow through a little bit of a downward dog, curl the toes under from your tabletop and lift the hips up and back. Press the hands towards the front of the mat. You can see that my heart space starts to travel through my arms. My ears are in line with my biceps. I've got a nice soft bend in my knees. I might pedal out my legs a couple times here. Option to stay in all fours, flow through some cat-cow. Option to just feel out this downward dog. And then when we're ready, let's bend the knees, look forward. You can walk or hop or jump all the way up to the top of the mat. You'll find yourself in a forward fold here. Let it all dangle. And then from here, we'll come up halfway. So drag the hands up the shins and find a nice flat back. So think about pulling that belly in, rolling the shoulders back, top of the head towards the front of the room there, the front of the mat, and lots of energy through the legs. So we're creating quite an angle here. Inhale here, and then exhale, bend the legs again, forward fold. And then this time, press through the feet and come all the way up to standing or sitting nice and tall in your chair. Hands through heart center, exhale and release. Okay, let's do some big movements to get the body moving and warming up, and we're going to flow through our sun and moon flowers. So like I said, lots of postures with like sort of nature-y, springy names today. So to begin with, we'll step the feet nice and wide. I'll demonstrate the chair in just a minute. We'll turn the toes out towards the edges, the corners of the mat, and sink into a bit of a squat here. So finding a comfortable distance for your feet tilting the pelvis, make it nice and heavy, point it straight down towards the earth, and then the hands will come up shoulder height. Of course, if you're in the chair, you're going to look the same, except you'll be sitting down on the chair. So from here, let's take a big inhale, and if we're standing, we're going to press through the legs, sweep the arms up. If we're sitting in the chair, we'll just find the big arm sweep. And then as we exhale, sink back into the legs. If you're standing, draw the elbows in. So feel the pull, feel the muscles work to draw those elbows in here. And then inhale, reach up. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale as we lower. So finding your own rhythm with your own breath, maybe faster or slower than what I'm doing. Do a couple more of these moonflowers. So think about, you're reaching up, looking up at this nice moon. The next option, and they're options, they're optional, is to sink in as we exhale, tilt forward at the hips, draw a big circle with the arms, and pretend you're gathering up a bunch of sunflowers. And then come on back up, inhale. This is a very big, deep movement. Find your depth, stick with moonflowers instead if this one's not feeling right for you, or alternate. Moonflowers and sunflowers. So whatever works best for your body. A couple more rounds here. This really gets the whole body moving, warms up all the muscles. All right. Let's take a big breath, sweep the arms up, sink back into our goddess pose here. And then let's take the hands, bring them to our thighs, and we'll just rinse it out a little bit by dipping right shoulder into the center and finding a bit of a twist through the core. And then inhale, left shoulder, dip it in. Find that twist through the core and then inhale. Just moving from side to side, wringing it out a little bit. All right, one more on each side. We'll come up through center. Good, let's press through the legs, come up to center. Woo, and walk the feet in, shake it out. Feeling nice and warm. All right. Let's do a couple of stretches, then we'll get into a couple of balance postures as well. So in fact, let's step the feet wide again. Maybe not quite as wide as where we were. We're gonna inhale, hands to hips. This works fine in the chair as well. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, we'll start to hinge forward. So when you get to your flat back, you may wanna release the hands down to the mat. Knees can be bent if we like, or if you do have a block just helps bring the floor up a little closer to where you can reach the block or the floor. Works great in the chair as well. So let's find our forward fold here. Maintain a nice strong, flat back to begin with. We'll just turn to the side. So instead of hinging all the way forward, stay nice and lifted to begin with. And we're going to take our right hand and place it underneath our face. So a little bit in between the center of the feet here. Hips are going to stay nice and steady as we inhale and sweep the left arm up. So we're coming into a twist here and sweeping the arm up. If it's too much, the arm can bend, so you shorten the lever a little bit so it's not quite as intense. Gaze can be down at the fingers or looking up towards the thumb or anywhere in between. But just the hand on the back here also helps us get a sense of how even our hips are feeling. Keep pressing into the floor. Again, you're maybe pressing into a block here to try to spin the heart center open. Awesome. Whew. Let's let that go. We'll switch sides. So I'm just gonna change my block here. I'm gonna put my hand on the flat lowest part of the block, but right underneath my face, in between the two toes. Make sure my hips are nice and square. And I'm gonna take a big inhale, sweep the other arm open. It's a bit much on my shoulder. The shoulder always bothers me. So I'm gonna bring my hand down, gives me a chance to check in with my hips, See if I can square them off a little bit and think about pressing into that mat or block. All right, one more breath. And exhale, good. All right, from here, let's engage through the core, bring the hands back up to the hips, and we'll hinge all the way back up. Whew, shake it out. All right, let's come into our mountain pose, find our breath for a moment. So we've been through some sunflowers and moonflowers. We're going to honor the trees that are all about to bud and bloom. So let's stand in our mountain pose. Palms turning forward, energy through the legs. We're feeling the feet press into the mat and feeling strength in the legs. Core is engaged as well, but knees are soft. Eyes can be open or closed, finding a soft gaze. Let's see if we can move into our tree from our mountain. So can we transform from the big, beautiful mountains into a tree growing on those mountains? We transfer the weight into the left foot here. If holding on to a chair or a wall is needed, by all means, go ahead. We're just going to turn the right knee out to the side. Maybe this is our tree. Maybe our hands come to prayer or our hips. Or maybe we need to find a bit more balance. We need to open the arms up a little bit to find that balance. Whatever works for us, let's find that. The foot can stay connected, or we can try to lift that foot off the floor and really root down through the support leg. Now this becomes the trunk of the tree and all the support and strength of a tree trunk here, holding us steady. Maybe it's a bit windy where you are and your tree is getting blown around a bit, that's okay. And if you have to come out and touch down, that's okay too. So play with our tree, playing with our branches. Sometimes opening the branches up actually helps counterbalance a little bit. Maybe that's the secret of the trees all along, why they have so many big, beautiful branches. Soft through the shoulders, find a gaze that you can rest your gaze on. Or maybe you want to challenge the posture and close your eyes or look up, or maybe not. Stay for 2 more breaths. Let's come out of this tree nice and easy, bringing our branches back down to our side, let it go, shake it out, maybe even just swinging the arms a little bit like a child in a coat with empty coat sleeves, we call this one. We've pulled the arms inside the coat, you know, we're swinging the arms of the coat. See a lot of this as the weather changes. We don't need our winter coats, but we're not quite ready to not wear a coat to school. It's great. All right, let's come back to mounted pose. So we really root down through the feet, energy through the legs and core, softness in the knees, roll the shoulders down and back and open the palms up to the front. Take a few breaths here before we move into our tree on the other side. And of course, don't forget, you can be using your chair as support by holding on to the chair for this posture. And when we're ready, let's transfer the weight into the right foot or the opposite foot. Just switch sides. If you did a different foot from me, it's no problem. And come up on those toes, turn the left knee out. Again, hands and branches can be anywhere that help you balance to begin with. And let's see if maybe the toes can connect to that tree trunk as we really root down through that standing leg. Squeeze the bum, core is engaged. And let's see if those branches help us stay strong in our tree pose on the opposite side. Try the same thing, try a different thing, whatever you want to test out. I'm going to see for myself if I can change my gaze on this side. I'm going to try and look up. It is a challenge. Stay focused. Two more breaths. And then let's start to come out of our tree, bringing our branches down by our sides, swing those coat sleeves one more time. Awesome. Okay, I'm going giving you an option in the chair here, and then I'm going to meet you down on the floor. So we're going to be moving into our fire log pose. I'm looking forward to fires in the spring and summer. And an option on the chair is to come into a seated figure 4, where we would pick up one leg, cross it over, just like we would as if we're seated in a chair, which we are, and sitting up nice and tall. And options to increase the stretch. You might already be feeling it, or you can start to hinge forward, or even fold over the leg, reach down for the mat or the block here, wherever you are in your practice. So this is a nice option for the chair, and then we'll switch sides. I'm going to join you down on the mat here for a few stretches. Okay, so options, of course, on the floor are, we just saw sort of a seated pigeon variation. So of course, if you prefer to lie down and do a figure 4, by all means, that's a great option. You could do a seated figure 4 on the mat as well. It basically looks like this, where we're sitting on our sit bones. We do need to find a bit of space at the beginning so that we can cross our leg over. And then we might use our hands and start walking our hips and feet a little closer together to increase the stretch. That's a nice seated option. Or, like I said, fire log pose. So it's slightly different than sitting cross-legged. We're going to try and stack our shins. So it can be quite intense. And again, if you do have a blanket or a block or anything that you want to just kind of hook under a leg for support, by all means, go ahead and grab that. For our fire log pose, we're not bringing this foot all the way into the hip flexors here. We're keeping the ankles and knees kind of stacked. Now you might have a bit of space here, and that's okay. Let's sit up nice and tall. And that's why I was suggesting a bit of a support, maybe a blanket or a block here. So the idea with fire log is that these two legs are stacked, kind of like fire logs, hence the name. So hands can be down by our side for support. They can be resting on our thighs. And this is very intense, just getting into this posture, but if you are looking for a little bit more, you can start to hinge forward. I'm perfectly happy myself right here. I'm feeling quite an intense stretch, but I do really enjoy fire log. And of course, we are thinking about the upcoming spring and summer seasons, being outside, trees, mountains, fires, and then we're going to move to a couple more final outdoorsy spring-inspired postures after this. Let's stay for a couple more breaths. See if you can soften through any places you're holding tension. Often when we're trying these pigeon-type postures, we clench up in our jaw. So let's see if we can just soften there. All right, we got to get out of this now. So if you're in a seated pigeon, you may want to walk that foot away from the glutes to create a bit of space to unwind. If we're in our fire log here, maybe leaning back into our hands, uncrossing the feet and windshield wipering the legs. And then let's come through center and we'll set up for the other side. So now we want to stack the opposite foot on top or cross the opposite leg over top of opposite knee if you're doing any kind of version of pigeon. This side might feel the same, might feel different, might feel better, might feel worse. They're all fine. And again, don't forget option to have a block underneath this leg so it doesn't just feel like it's dangling. And in fact, you know, having some kind of support under this leg gives your body the cue and the sense of safety and that you can maybe relax into the posture a little bit more. So don't be afraid to use any kind of prop to help find that softness, especially in the hips here. Let's see if we can stack those fire logs, rest the hands, and find some softness in the jaw and the shoulders and stay for a few rounds of breath here. And in this moment of, I don't want to say easy, but like of non-movement, we come back to those senses. What can we hear? What can we smell? What do we see, even if our eyes are closed? How's the breath flowing? Does it feel a little stuck in this intense posture? Maybe find ways to soften and ease up, and we'll stay for 2 more breaths. And when we're ready, if the eyes are closed, we can open up the eyes. Same thing here, we're gonna lean back, uncross the legs, and we'll just windshield wiper the legs a little bit. Good. All right, let's come through center again. We'll bring the soles of the feet together. If you're in the chair, you might be able to make a bit of a diamond shape. If not, we're just doing a butterfly stretch. So we're just looking for an inner thigh stretch. You can step the feet nice and wide and hinge forward in the chair. For those of us in butterfly, hands can reach down, find ankles or maybe soles of feet. Give the soles of feet a little massage, or maybe you want to take your peace fingers and loop them through the big toes, roll those shoulders down, find a nice tall spine wherever we are, and exhale to hinge forward. Keep that tall, long spine for a breath or two. See if we can find a little bit more depth in this stretch with the long spine. And then you can choose to stay with a nice long spine and or change or keep the hands and maybe then round down. So a few options here. Nice deep breath into the backside body, whether you've got the long spine or a rounded spine. And then we'll start to make our way back up. We can close the knees up and we're going to make our way down to our backs. And if you're in the chair we're going to move into, I'm going to call it dead bug tonight, just to stick with that sort of nature theme, but it's happy baby essentially. It's some schools call it dead bug. If you're in the chair, you can go back to any of the options from the beginning of class. Maybe you want to do a little knee to elbow action, or maybe you want to lean forward, drop the shoulders in between the legs. So find something that you want to do in your chair. If you're coming down to the mat, any way that feels safe, roll on down. I always like to use one leg as a bit of a lever to help me get down there. You can gather the knees in for a couple breaths, rock side to side. And then to come into our dead bug, depending on how we're feeling in our bodies, we're just going to bring the hands either behind the thighs and draw the knees down and open. So down towards the side, down towards the armpits. If we have a little bit more flexibility, we might be able to reach for our calves, our ankles, or maybe even the outside of our feet. And then we're going to draw those knees down. We're going to try to connect the whole length of the spine and the shoulders to the mat as well. This is one of the, it's quite a vulnerable position, no doubt. So this is one of the nice things about practicing at home. You don't have to worry about anyone looking at you or staring at you, and you can really just find a nice, happy baby posture here. Now, option to move, rock side to side, extend one leg, then the other, whatever feels best for you in your dead bug. Sorry, I was trying to call it dead bug instead of happy baby, although maybe happy baby it's still a nice spring name rather than dead bug. Bugs are sort of coming alive in the spring, aren't they? They're not really dying. So a couple more breaths here, wherever you are, in whatever posture and whatever name we've given it. And then whenever we feel ready, let's draw the soles of the feet together, draw the knees together, and any option for a gentle inversion maybe here, maybe a bridge. A nice option here might be a waterfall. It's a little bit like legs up the wall, but there's no wall here. So just find, if you do have a wall, absolutely legs up the wall is a nice option. Or of course, I've demonstrated this before, having the legs up on a chair. I don't suggest getting into it the way I just did, but I was just showing this as an option if you do have a chair. In fact, I'm quite enjoying this. I'm just going to reposition myself a little bit. But again, waterfall, just sending the feet up towards the ceiling and getting kind of heavy in the thighs so that there's not much work going on, but it's allowing the blood to just kind of stream back towards the heart with the help of gravity. So this is actually lovely as well. I can't decide which one I like better, waterfall or my legs resting on the chair. Find a couple of breaths here. And then whenever you feel ready, you can move into a position for your final resting Shavasana. Again, that could be with the legs up the wall or on the chair or straight out long in front of you on your mat. Sitting up tall in the chair if you're using the chair, but maybe try to soften and use the back of the chair for support if you have a back of a chair. Hands down by our side or resting in our laps. We'll just start to scan our bodies and see if there are any places we're still holding on to any tension, and maybe just breathe a little loving kindness that way. See if you can let it go. Shavasana is the time for our physical and energetic bodies to absorb all that good work we just did and turn it into something magical. It's a time for integration and rest. And know that rest is different from sleep and that we need both every day. And we should never pass up an opportunity to just rest and do nothing. And of course, the beauty of practicing through the lens, through the video, is that if you want or need a longer Shavasana, by all means, let the video play out or press pause now and stay for as long as you need. If you're ready to start waking up your body, maybe wiggling through fingers and toes, circling wrists and ankles, maybe choosing to stretch long along your mat or curl into a little ball one last time just before rolling over to one side, and then making your way up to a comfortable seated position. From here, we can rest our hands back down on our lap, palms up or down. We can bring our hands to prayer if we're comfortable there, or just resting our hands over our heart space. And we're all going to take a big breath together. Take an inhale here, fill up our bellies, ribs, and chest, and let it go with a big sigh out the mouth. Let's do one more of those. Thank you so much for allowing me into your personal private yoga practice spaces and for allowing me to be your guide through these postures. I hope that by calling upon some postures with spring-like names, we have called upon the spring weather and springtime joyousness, and that we are putting the cold, dark winter behind us. It was not an easy winter for anybody. I know that spring, and I know that in parts of the world, there's not easy things going on, but hopefully we can manifest some love and joy for ourselves through our practice and through finding some time to honor ourselves and maybe dedicate our practice to someone else out there that is in need of love and support. Every little bit helps. So thank you again for allowing me to be your guide. Enjoy the sensations of spring and the weather, and I'll see you here again next week. Take care.